Hi everyone, and welcome to the fifth pitching session of New Images 2020. My name is Eli, and I'm in charge of the XR financing market, a program within the festival that aims to be the place where project, can be discovered, pitched, and financed. This year we have selected 40 works in progress from 22 countries, and they are all original works that explore new forms of storytelling through either film, game, arts, or performance. The five projects we're gonna discover today are dealing with ethnography, rituals, death, and cultures in extension. Before we start, I would like to welcome now our decision makers. So with us this morning, we have Aurélie Martin from Nausicaa, we have Jeanne Machalot from France Télévisions, Jane Wang from Vire, Laure Hendricks from Beaux-Arts, and Marc Atala from La Maison d'Ailleurs. So thank you all for joining us. All the pitches will capture your interest for sure, and we are waiting for your questions. The first project we're gonna discover is titled Muga Muga VR. It's gonna be presented by Casey De Kooling and Michael Holland. First, we're gonna watch the trailer, and then we can start the discussion with them.
Australia has a black history. For over 250 years, Australia has enslaved, exploited, and brutalised its First Nations people. This occurred hand in hand with the slaughtering of the humpback whale. Both people and whales were commodified to make way for the white civilization. This is the story and a history lesson from the Woppaburra people and their spiritual totem animal, the humpback whale, as they forged through the brink of extinction and came fighting back.
My name's Cassie, and I'm a filmmaker from Melbourne, Victoria.
In 2018, I found a letter from the Woppaburra people to the Japanese embassy. It read, "We are spiritually connected with Mugga Mugga. They are as much as part of us, our family, as we are as part of them, their family. We are joined spiritually forever. We can no longer sit in silence and tolerate their slaughter." I reached out to the community, and in a myriad of conversations, I found myself being introduced to Woppaburra man, Dr. Harry Van Issem, who did his PhD on the history of his people, past and present.
For me, it's been a life journey. I suppose as the journey's continued, I got the opportunity to write about our people in an academic sense. But you've got to understand, a PhD is an academic document. It's there to be marked to show that you have done this research training. In that sense, it's quite boring. But to take that information out and put it into some other form that's more digestible, that people can engage with or even look at or experience, is what excites me about this project. It's a bit of a buzz, really. And the whole idea of having a virtual reality take to it, where you can put yourself, you can't say in the shoes, but in the fins maybe, of a humpback whale, to say this is what it looks like from this side. And the powerful part is that when you see through colonisation or some of the actions of white society on how they've treated humpback whales as a commodity to hunt, and you can put yourself in that position in a virtual reality setting, that's pretty powerful to say, this is how it might feel. as a humpback whale. And for us, this is how it might feel as an ancestral spirit, as someone that's most important for us as Wapabara people.
It's more than a story. It's real life, and it's now, and it's not something that's in the past. It's something that is still happening, and it's still present, and it's current perception that's based on previous perception. I just think it's alive.
Over the last 2 years, I've built a relationship with Harry and the Wapabara community. Teaming up with local Indigenous director Kayleen Butler and renowned XR creator Michaela Trinaski Holland, we started to craft a story together. But our team wants more than to tell this incredible story. We want to create a real-life impact. And that's why we've decided to embark on the journey beyond the screen to turn mugga mugga into the cinemas word for humpback whale. Our ask for the XR component is $190,000 US. This, combined with the documentary and global distribution plan, is just under $500K. Our plan is, with the help of national and international funding and partnerships, we will be on the ground in Queensland filming Mugga Mugga XR and the documentary feature in 2021, rolling out to global headsets and screens in 2022. This is a world-changing project, and every step of the way is being made in full consultation and guidance from the Wapabara elders and community. We are honoured to have their endorsement as we bring this project to life.
And so now we have with us Casey and Michaela. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All good.
So maybe I can start with the first question for you. What is the state of development of the project? And because you mentioned Screen Australia in your trailer, but are they already partnered? Are they already on board?
So currently we're working on the chain of title and some of the contracting negotiations with the community. And we're working with Screen Queensland, which is the provincial or state funding body, to craft our way through to development, and they're opening up doors and conversations with Screen Australia.
Okay. And regarding, because I think you don't have any production company yourself. I mean, are you looking for some producers or potentially some co-producers?
I have a production company in Australia that I just keep it. It's very like a side kind of production company that uses an umbrella from the projects that I've been self-producing, really. But I would be very open to talking to people about co-production and expanding into the international market. Currently, there has to be a co-production agreement with the First Nations people. So that's what's first and foremost.
Okay, thank you. Let's open it up to our decision makers. Do you have any question, any feedback for Casey? Come on, I know it's early morning, but...
Hi, everybody. I'm Jeanne Marchelot from France Télévisions.
Yeah.
Just a little, sorry, it's it's early in the morning. Sorry for my English. If for France Télévisions to be in co-production on a project, every international project has to be produced by a French producer. If it is not the case, then France Télévisions cannot be on any project. So I just wanted to say that to make sure that everybody got the information. That's the first point. And then Casey, what's exactly you want to do in VR? Or is it just a 360 documentary?
I'll get Michaela to answer that one, actually. Yeah.
Hi.
Okay.
Good early morning from New York. It's currently 2:11 a.m. So I understand morning. So also forgive my English, even though that's my first language. As far as what we're trying to build currently, it would be a VR film at first. We want to build the pieces of the VR film to potentially be built into a more interactive room scale VR experience. We also want to build certain assets that could be implemented into a more mobile, digital web only XR, AR experience. The current XR story map we have is to blend 3 different mediums within VR filmmaking. So the first medium would be traditional 360 film, and that would be to represent the present time of the Wapabura community. And that would entail us going into the community and filming with them to represent their stories in the current day. The second medium we would be using is expanded volumetric particles in a way of being able to use fly-through camera. So there still would be gentle movement. This is to portray the historical aspects of the project that we have access to via different museums, different archives from the Wapabura community, from different anti-whaling communities. And the third and final medium we would use is VR artwork via a Google Tilt Brush or an Oculus Quill type of platform. And this is to portray the more spiritual relationship and bond between human and whale, and to also be able to recreate really beautiful sequencing of human and whale interaction through a more artistic lens. So it is currently slated to be a VR film. This is for distribution, accessibility, and obviously, as we know, ease and cost of production. But that's not to say that the assets we're building in all 3 environments won't also have the ability to potentially be implemented into a larger room scale, AR, web XR, et cetera, as we know, the list could go on and on, type of distribution and experience. The final note I would like to make on this answer is also we are currently looking at developing and co-producing a traditional 2D documentary alongside of the XR, and that's also being done in full agreement and full transparency and full collaboration with the Wapabura community and a First Nations director as well. Pass the word.
And so to make it clear, because I know we have also some producers watching to the live stream. Do you look to potential co-producers and European co-producers? And what will be the profile and the skills you're looking for?
Yeah, I'm very open to talking to co-producers on an international scale. The profile, it's really a case-by-case scenario. Like it's very like an intimate project for these people. So, you know, I think like a lot of the conversation thus far has been like much around like speaking from the Wapabara people who we want to work with people we trust and people we know. So if there was people who are interested in a project like this, that would be definitely needed for them to kind of like want to come to Australia or want to have some kind of like relationship with these people as well. And yeah, we're looking for also like help with like resources in terms of distribution and also like stitching it all together sort of things. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the important part of that vetting process is whatever co-producer or co-production company would want to come on board, they would need to have a really clear mission or a really clear slate of work or a really clear proposal to us how they are working within themselves to support and engage with First Nations people, because they live all over the world, not just in Australia. So that's going to be a really important part of that vetting process for us, I think, as key creatives and collaborators. So that's just to make a note to anyone listening in or anyone interested.
Thank you. We have a question from Jane. Please go ahead.
Hi, I want to say first, really great presentation. I do like the vibe and the music that you created for this speech, and it's really work well done. And I do have a question based on what you just introduced, that you mentioned that there are 3 different parts to this experience. The first one is 360, second one is a digital particle, and the third one is tilt brush. So I would like to know more about the storyline or the storytelling through the 3 parts of the story. So is it, connected, or is it totally different stories for 3 parts? How you connect with each other when people are going through different phases of the story? And also, I guess a following question to that is, how long are you designing for each part? Like you expect people to experience. So how many minutes that you want your audience to stay in one part of the story? And sorry, I have like separate questions. So now the last question is for the tilt brush part. Is it like heavily interaction with audience? Will audience to like really painting on inside experience, or basically it's still a lighting action, but more of a viewing experience? So that is my question.
I'll get Michaela to take this away as well. Yeah, but it is one piece, and it's an intergenerational story. And I'll pass over to Michaela if you like to talk about how the story arc.
Yeah, Jane, thank you for those questions. I think maybe the easiest way would be to be able to share my screen and show our current story visualization map. Would that be possible? I just want to make sure I have the correct. Oh, looks like I do. Great.
You have the rights.
Awesome. Okay. So this is our story visual map. Currently, what we're going to be doing is using all 3 elements that I discussed as a singular story. The current working timeline for the full 360 film or VR film is 25 minutes. Our goal is to make this a non-interactive piece currently, based on budget, based on accessibility, based on our ability to also distribute the experience. We're really in this for more of a social impact and less of a white glove film festival experience that maybe only a handful of people have access to and see. Although there is an openness to the core creative team to expand this into a more interactive piece if additional funding for that type of project and medium comes forward for us. Just quickly running the decision makers and panel lists here through the story viz map. On the top, as you can see, we have our timeline. The timeline moves through many different historical present day time frames. We start in the present day with 360 video. The opening scene is really about children gathered with a grandmother telling us the story of the Wapabura community. The story she's telling is the actual letter that was sent to the Japanese government, which is the letter that's being spoken about by Cassie in the pitch video. The woman that actually wrote the letter is still with us today in the Wapabura community and is willing to discuss how she wrote that letter and how that came about in her time of standing up for her spiritual totem animal. So we want to sort of recreate her telling this story to a younger generation of Wapabura children. Then that would move into the volumetric particles that take us back in time as almost like a sequencing back to the very early stages of the Wapabura community's pre-colonialism. And then that will take us into the more abstract world of the quill or tilt brush art, where in the scene 2, we'll see a coming of age ceremony of the whale and the boys of the Wapabura communities doing this scarification type ceremony together, moving into more, again, abstract spiritual realm. Then we're moving up and out of the...
Michaela, sorry, we have just 1 minute. Sorry, 1 minute.
Oh, no, it's okay. I totally get it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because you are in a big demonstration, but yeah, can you make it shorter, please?
Oh, for sure. No worries. I'm sorry about that. Hi, all. Okay, so I'm going to recap this faster. So then we're going to be moving in and out of these timelines. So basically we have pre-colonialism, then we're moving into exploitation period, and colonialism period. Then we're moving into the restoration period, which is the civil rights movement of the Wapabura people, the restoration of the whales, all of these blending in and out of these three different elements. And then we're going to close very bookend from the present day with the scene of the 360 film and sort of that closing moment. And the power of the letter is going to usher us back into the present day. So this is our current story Vismap, and it's available if anyone would like to have it. More than welcome to send my email and send you this PDF. And I will stop sharing my screen. Oh, there we go. Host already did that. Thank you. Pass the word.
Thank you for this great presentation. Of course, you can follow up the discussion with Jane during your one-on-one. And but we have now to move to the next project. Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Michaela. So the next one is Floating with Spirits. It's going to be presented by Anne Ost and Juanita Onzaga. We're going to first watch the cello, and then we can have some Q&As.
Hi, my name is Anne. I'm a producer at Cassette for Timescapes, and we're here to present Floating with Spirits by Juanita Onzaga. Juanita is a Colombian director living in Brussels, and her latest short film, Our Song to War, has premiered at the Quinzaine des Réalisateurs in Cannes in 2018. Her earlier short film, The Jungle Knows You Better Than You Do, has won the jury prize for Best Short Film at the Berlinale in 2017.
In my short films, I explore a magical realism universe where humans and spirits are in the same plane of perception. With VR, I realized that I can get immersed into this universe and interact with it, and that's how I arrived to create this project. Floating with Spirits is a linear 360 VR film that becomes interactive. At first you observe, and as the film unfolds, you get more and more into this mysterious and magical universe until you can make part of it and interact with it. In the film, we follow two little sisters, two little girls from the indigenous Mazatec community in the Mystic Mountains of Mexico, as they prepare for the Day of the Dead with their shaman grandmother. As the rituals unfold, their ancestors and the spirits of nature surround them, transporting us into the magical universe where we can now interact with the spirits of nature and get inside their different secret worlds to discover their knowledge, connecting us to this ancient knowledge that lives in nature, and it's a legacy that the girls and us need to preserve.
Eagle's Nest. That's the name of our mountains. Once a year, clouds of fog invade it all. It's the spirits of our ancestors descending as we prepare for the Day of the Dead. Every mountain and river have their own spirits. They have given us this land, and they provide us with food, so we protect them. My shaman granny tells me all the stories the spirits whisper to her. At the altar, there is everything the dead used to love when alive. So we make together their favorite meal. The dead may choose food for their heart. When we gather to think of them, the spirits descend. They find their way to us, following the sweet smell of the flowers and the shine of the candles that we light for them. As they arrive, you can feel their company as a warm breath of air. They can communicate with us. If you close your eyes strongly, you might be able to see them.
What you have just seen is part of our 360 teaser that we've shot last year in Mexico with our characters. Floating with Spirits will be designed in 2 different versions. First of all, there will be a 6-DOF location-based experience, and there will be a 360 linear film. We're here to look for one more co-producer to join our team and for technical partners. We're also looking forward to discuss the distribution potential with different sales agents, distributors, and exhibition places. Thank you for your attention.
So thank you, Anne and Juanita, for this beautiful trailer. And thank you for joining us. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you.
Right. So, decision makers, do you have any feedback, any questions for the project? Maybe low, but you have to switch on your microphone. We can't hear you. Sorry, Laure, we can't hear you. So maybe we're going to have another question. Okay, so I'm going to go with my question. Regarding distribution, so you mentioned a couple of ideas, but can you tell us the profile of the kind of distributors you are looking for?
Yeah, I'll answer that question. Hi, everyone. So for the location-based experience, we're looking for museums or festivals. We're mainly thinking about a target audience that goes to festivals, exhibitions. And then for...
What kind of museums do you think?
Well, we natural history museums, museums about indigenous people, about spiritual themes. Yeah, it's quite open. And then for the linear 360 film, we mainly think about distribution, online distribution platforms for people who have a headset at home. We also, within our production company, pay a lot of attention to impact and outreach. We have an in-house impact producer. So that's also why it's important for us to have a light version that eases the distribution to audience that doesn't have a headset at home or that's not so acquainted to festivals. Yeah.
And I would add for the museums, there is also a certain link with contemporary dance through the piece, as during the ritual, there is a shamanic dance ritual. So it can also be museums or art centers that have like a certain focus on body expression, contemporary dance, or also preservation of more traditional dance and indigenous knowledge.
Okay, I think we have a question from Jane, and maybe Juanita, in the meantime, can you, maybe your microphone is a bit, hiding somewhere and we can't really hear you.
Okay, yes. Do you hear me better?
Better.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump in. So hello again. I thank you again for your presentation and really loved it. And I'm really glad to hear that you are actually planning for 2 versions for the story, because I'm from there, and which is doing online distribution. Also, we have a offline distribution for 360 in China market right now. So I'm very curious when you mentioned about the plan for 360, a lighter version of that, and they do have the possibilities or chance to be distributed offline, in addition to online distribution. So I have a question regarding the 360 compared to the 6-stop version. So since there's some interactions when you enter the spiritual world, so how you gonna design the 360 since there's no interaction compared to the 6-stop version, and how you guarantee or how you create the similar experience or vibe that you provided to audience with 6-stop version. And also I'm still a little bit not like unclear about the story, that the storyline of this experience, and what kind of emotion are you expecting your audience to take away when they finish experiencing this? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jane, for your questions. So I'll go for the first one. So this is actually something that we thought when really thinking like, if we go from interactive to lighter, how are we sure that, I mean, the heart, the soul of the interaction will be somehow in the 360 linear experience? So for explaining this, I think it's easier if I explain a little bit the interactive space where the visitor arrives to. It's a kind of a spiritual space made of particles where he sees, or where the visitor, she or he sees the different spirits of nature around. And we are able to go close to them. And the closer we get to them, the sound and the visuals evolve. And then when we are able to touch them, then we get teleported inside their, like, a special secret universe, like telepathically for 1 minute in a completely different space. And then we come back to this space and we can move towards the other spirits of nature. So what we would be doing for the linear version is to develop a kind of path that goes from one spirit to the other, where we are actually moving and where we would be getting inside their secret universes when we reach really close to them, with a path that is actually the path that in the interactive version would be the one that would be designed with sound, so that the ideal path, and we would arrive to the same ending. So in this way, we would be sure that there is nothing of this feeling of being inside this world's mist. And that takes me to your second question regarding the emotion that at the end I would love the visitor to take from this experience. There is several of them. I think the first of them is really to reconnect with a kind of inner child feeling of looking at nature in a very like curious and kind of completely mystified by the nature, because I think that's something that we have forgotten. And for me, it's what I loved of sharing so much time with the Mazatec community and listening to their stories. And that's actually what is transposed in their stories, their view on the different layers of nature, of the invisible. So that would be like the first part. Then the second, like, emotional aspect, it would be the different link that there is between a storytelling with the grandmother, because it's the shaman grandmother who will be telling the stories to the girls, and then the girl who will be telling like these stories to us. So it also has to do with oral tradition and how important it is to carry those stories. And then in a more emotional aspect, there is like personal aspect, I would say. There is something from the secret worlds of the natural, like the spirits of the water, the mountain, the eagle, where there is a certain kind of like hypnotic universe around us, where we go into their secret worlds, but also like they are the need that we need to preserve it somehow. So it's like I really want to move between this fascination by nature, reconnection to the inner child, and at the same time a kind of very soft danger that lives in it without being too upfront, but just a sense that we really need to do something to take care of it.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. We have to move to the next project, but thank you, Anne, and thank you, Ranita. And of course, for all the people watching, if you want to have some one-on-one meeting with them, please feel free to contact me, and I will arrange you a meeting. Thank you. So the next project now is Let Go. It's going to be presented by Oriane Urard and Michael Beats. We're going to watch the trailer first, and we can have some Q&A with them afterwards.
Hello, my name is Michael Beats and I am the director, writer of Let Go. I am based in Melbourne, Australia, and I've created numerous virtual reality projects in the past, one of which was titled The Unknown Patient, which premiered at Venice VR in 2018.
Hi, I'm Oriane Urard. I'm a producer at Les Produits Frais, based in Paris, France. I've already produced several VR pieces like Meet Mortaza, which is in the VR Venice selection this year.
Let Go is an interactive VR series in 5 parts, and it is designed for the Oculus Quest. And it lives in this interesting space or mood between meditative and horror. Let Go confronts the viewer and asks them to think about their own death. There are 5 episodes, and each episode deals with an age-old mourning ritual from around the world. Those include rituals from Lithuania, Australia, South Africa, Japan, and China. So each episode is centered around an interaction, and that interaction is key to each ritual. So for example, in Nesnuban, when a loved one dies, we must spend the night with their bodies and we must light incense. The tension comes from never letting that incense die out. So the whole project started when my wife and I were talking about how we process death. And she mentioned a ritual that she has in her culture. She's from Japan, which is titled Nesnuban. I found it quite terrifying, to be honest. And I started to wonder why does the thought of the ritual terrify me? It came down to the fact that I think that I don't process or talk about death. And that's what I think is so special about this project, is that it confronts death in a way that is quite unique by allowing us to step out of our own rituals and to experience something from someone else's, and hopefully bring us a little bit closer to talking about our own processes and rituals and how we deal with death.
Let Go is a location-based installation designed for museums, festivals, art centers, but it's also an experience aimed at Oculus Quest's users. Let Go is currently in development. We have an early prototype we'll be happy to show you. Animation and development are made by Albion Studio and sound design by Cosmoton. We have secured financing from CNC Digital Experience Fund and by a regional fund here in France. Diversion Cinéma has already confirmed its interest for the project. We are looking for partners, investors, and co-producers to complete the production budget, which is currently estimated at 500,000 euros.
Thanks so much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy our prototype. And yeah, keen to talk more. Thanks.
Thank you for listening.
Well done. Thank you, Oriane. Thank you, Michael, for joining us. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. So let's open it up to decision makers. Do you have any question, any feedbacks for the project?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh my
Laura.
Hello.
Back.
So nice to be with you all now. I have a little question regarding the process of interaction in the VR piece. So the idea is to really make you experience the way people are literally letting people go all around the world. Is that about it?
Go ahead. No, sorry, please continue.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it's a little. You go.
You go. I stop it.
All right, I'll go. More or less, yes. So it's based on actual rituals that exist across the world. We've chosen 5 so far, but we really see this project as being quite modular, in that depending on the partners that we get and how we can partner with people, really there's so many rituals out there that are fascinating that we could explore. In terms of the interactivity, each ritual, and this is something that's fascinating to the rituals themselves that we've discovered, is almost all of them have a key interaction that is central to the ritual, which translates perfectly into a virtual reality experience. So, for example, in Nesnuban, the prototype that we currently have, you can, in that experience, you light incense, and you keep doing that for the entire evening. And if you forget to light the incense, then, of course, the world gets darker and scarier and more horror-like. But you get to choose as an audience member. You can experience a very thoughtful, beautiful piece where you're experiencing the memories of your loved one. Or you can tempt fate and choose not to light the incense, and then the world and the stories will reflect what happens in the rituals and what they believe will happen in the ritual. So in Nesnuban, the idea is that the spirit will get lost in the world and start haunting you. So yeah, we look for rituals that have specific interactions that we can focus the piece on. And enable sort of the story to be centered around, if that makes sense. And another example is one in South Africa, which is another fascinating ritual where it's if the loved one dies in the same house as where they live, you have to smear all the mirrors with ash. And if the ash this might get tricky. No, we're good. I better speed this up. If the ash falls off the mirror, then the spirit might see itself in the reflection. So in that experience, what you do is you just cover all these mirrors with ash, and of course the ash will start to fall down. So it's this constant kind of, so it's this type of interaction.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Another question? Anyone? So I don't know. Do you have the support actually of any scientist, or I'm just wondering, how did you identify all the different rituals across the world? How?
So, like I said, the first one that we focused on, the prototype, was the most obvious choice, and that was because a big part of my family are from Japan. My kids are half Japanese, and I myself will go through this ritual at one point in my life. So for me, it was a very personal journey. The other rituals that we've chosen are just based on research that we've had. Now, one thing that is really important for us is when we do have partners, hopefully those partners are from those countries, so that we can engage creatives, writers, and even potentially production companies who will help create the content, so that the content's coming from those areas. And at that point, that's when a lot of the research and story narratives will take place.
Okay, get it. Yes, Jane?
Yeah. So we actually, our team member actually talked with Michael before about the projects, and we really love the idea. It's just for now, we think the story is actually really heavily based on interaction, and that do have some problems too for distributions for 360. But we do really in love with this kind of topic of interacting with the diseased and the living ones, and we're gonna definitely keep an eye on the development of this of these projects. And also that Michael mentioned that if you need any help, because they mentioned there's going to be some Chinese ritual, because we do have a very formal or heavy ritual for the diseased one even in different parts of China. So if we can help for that part, and we'd love to.
That'd be amazing. We'll definitely talk to you, especially in the research stage. And we have no plans for the 360 version just because it's so centered around that interactivity. One thing that Oriane and I have been talking about recently is, and something that I'm quite fascinated by, is how to take this into a WebGL project, because WebGL has really progressed so much recently that there could be an interesting space to put the project not in VR as a standalone. And I don't know if there's if that is of interest, but it does open up the world to experiencing these types of experiences. It's just a side note, but yeah, we should definitely talk.
No, good to know.
Any question? So maybe you can you elaborate a little bit on the K interactivities you will have in the 6th version?
Yeah, so like I said before, each one has a main interaction that the ritual is based on, and that's the core of the experience. But then, depending on what journey you choose, it depends on the experience. So in Nesnuban, what you do in that is you light incense, right? So you pick up an incense, you place it on the candle, you place it in an urn. So it's very simple, ritualistic kind of interactions, and every ritual has their own unique one. Now, one thing that will also happen is a story will unfold. So while you're interacting with the ritual itself, you'll find out through these memory-like sequences that take place in the space. You'll figure out what the narrative was and what your relation to this person who has died, and how you relate to them.
Yeah, and I can just add that we developed the project right now for Quest, Oculus Quest. So all the interaction are based on hand interaction, because we are using the hand tracking device for Quest, and hopefully we'll get even better with Oculus Quest 2 in a few weeks. So yeah, each episode develops its own interaction, but all are based on the same tool for user and audience members.
Okay. Thank you, Oriane. Thank you, Michael. Really excited by your project. And
thank you.
Yeah, see you soon.
Thank you, Ellie.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So the next project is titled In Between World of Voodoo. It's going to be presented by Cédric Bonin and Taiwan Arun. We're going to watch the trailer first, and you can raise your question afterwards.
Hello everybody, thank you so much for this online opportunity to share our project. We are here to present the In Between World of Voodoo. I'm Cédric Bonin, I'm producer at Sepia, and we have teamed up with Taiwan Arun, director, to present and develop the first VR series about the mysterious and fascinating world of voodoo.
Hello, I'm Taiwan Arun, multimedia author and film director. I'm very happy to present you this project, this VR project, that try to push the limit of our perceptions.
I'm sure you have all heard about voodoo, but in this VR experience we want to go beyond the fantasies of violence and black magic that sticks unfairly to the reputation of voodoo.
Aujourd'hui, les cultes vaudous sont vraiment méconnus du grand public et largement sous-représentés dans les médias. Au mieux, on les associe à de la magie noire, à des poupées à sorts ou encore à une sorte de folklorisme local. Mais pourtant, quand on se rend sur place et qu'on parle avec les gens, on se rend compte à quel point il s'agit d'une culture riche. Ces cultes proposent vraiment une vision sur le monde et un art de vivre. Les initiés que nous avons rencontrés au Bénin nous ont parlé d'un monde occulte. Un monde où se retrouvent les morts, les esprits, les âmes. Afin d'éclairer les actions à mener dans notre monde, les adeptes pratiquent des cultes et des transes pour entrer en contact avec l'au-delà. C'est à partir de leurs récits que j'envisage de créer une expérience en réalité virtuelle qui interprète leur vision du monde invisible. L'expérience de l'entre-deux-mondes vaudou se décline en 5 expériences autonomes, écrites dans une logique de collection. Chaque épisode accompagne un personnage qui pratique un culte initiatique. Celui-ci a pour objectif d'acquérir une nouvelle compétence, d'appartenir à un nouveau cercle ou encore d'accéder à de nouveaux pouvoirs. Pour y parvenir, il doit se confronter à des étapes du culte, à des exigences éprouvantes autant physiques que psychologiques. Cette recherche de transcendance se traduit systématiquement par une mise en contact avec le monde invisible.
At Sepia, besides producing documentaries for TV and cinema, we love to work on new media projects with a specialization in VR and 360-degree video. I'm convinced that with these projects we can bring a new immersive dimension in the documentary world with the technology of volumetric videos.
Ce film est particulièrement innovant parce qu'il essaye d'aller plus loin que le film ethnographique traditionnel. Non seulement nous filmons à 360 degrés pour créer un sentiment d'immersion et avoir une approche documentaire, mais en plus on va chercher à représenter un monde qui n'est pas visible aux yeux des caméras. Ce projet de réalité virtuelle hybride propose un va-et-vient entre 2 univers et 2 esthétiques différentes. Celle d'une approche documentaire à 360 degrés et celle d'une création qui ressemble plus à du jeu vidéo avec des éléments CGI et des captations en vidéo volumétrique.
I feel that beginning with a documentary 360-degree video filming real voodoo ceremonies and slowly getting into 3D animation and volumetric video to enter the invisible world of voodoo will help us to push the boundaries of documentaries in VR and in general. Thus, we hope to generate an intimate encounter with this strong but not so well-known culture, and to bring true deepness with this spiritual experience to the VR users. We are in the development stage, but we have secured most of our development funding with the support of Creative Europe Media, free regional funding, and the Institut Français. With our German co-producer Oval Film and our international distributor Diversion Cinéma, we need to find partners to finance the project, but also to distribute the project in museums with anthropological collections, for digital culture. We also look for VR arcades or cultural spaces that are interested to show VR experiences. Thank you for listening, and I hope we'll have you on board in this unique journey to the world of voodoo.
Hi, Cedric. Hi, Taiwan. Thank you for joining us. Just a quick question, actually. Do you know how much people are practicing voodoo across the world?
Yes, it's around 50 million people who are practicing ritual like voodoo rituals, but it's not so easy to to know exactly the number of it, because there is a lot of different places where voodoo practices. But the number we can hear from anthropological specialists is turned around 50 million, sorry. Yeah.
So, decision makers, any feedbacks, any questions for, yeah, please, Laure, go ahead.
Hello, Tawan and Cedric. Yeah, I was curious about the link, Tawan, you have with voodoo. Like, how did you come up with that topic?
I'm originally from Thailand, and I'm also working on a documentary film about ghosts and spirit in Thailand. And this topic about voodoo began with a kind of work we had to do for the museum of Chateau Vaudou in Strasbourg. And by working on it, we just realized for them some 360 degrees videos capture for them for the museum. And by working for it, I was really surprised to discover how near this world are from the story where I know in Thailand about the ghost. Behind every ritual, there are always the idea that it is an animist idea of the believing from spirits. So that means I was really interested to see how universal that is. And I feel for me to make a topic about the voodoo, it's a kind of finding something about my own culture, and I'm really sure that there is a lot of universal ideas about nature and human beings who it's possible to find out with this kind of project.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah,
Jane,
yes. So I'm gonna jump into a quick question. So I think because my internet problem, I cannot really clearly see the subtitles during the presentation. So if I ask something that you already explained in the video, so excuse me for that. So I'm curious about, since it's a hybrid extra experience, so basically it's first 360, if I understand it correctly, then you dive into 5 different stories that interact with the invisible world, or using volumetric technology. And I was wondering, how long is the whole piece, since there are 5 different stories, if I remember, to go through? And is there any interactions when you enter the invisible world, and how heavy is it that?
Yes, there is 5 pieces. Every piece gonna gonna film a ceremony in different places of voodoo in different countries. It's also a kind of journey about the migrant, the migrant, la traite des esclaves, the slave placement from Benin in Africa to direction US and Haiti and Cuba. So every 5 part will take in one of these places, and then in each part there will be one protagonist who are the kind of who are the person in them you can identify to him, and this protagonist practice a kind of ritual. And the point of view of the viewer is a kind of a mouse on the shoulder of this protagonist who take part and begin to entrance in this ceremonial. And there is a moment, the beginning is really like a kind of a classical anthropological documentary. And there will begin, after a few minutes, a part who the protagonist take contact with something miracle, with something spiritual, with something who are open a door of another world. And at this moment, the film will switch in a kind of in the invisible world, and in this invisible world, you will also be on the shoulder of the protagonist, but you will begin to have a kind of presence in this world. So that means the interaction will not be to create a game or to move somewhere, but you will have a presence as a presence, and this presence is a kind of really small effects. For example, when you move your arms, the plant behind you will begin to move a little, or yes, it's this kind of interaction, maybe also with sounds. And after the film ended, you come back in the 360 film. In this case, it's really a kind of just a film, and it will finish after maybe 7 minutes. Every 5 episode will take about 7 minutes to accompany the protagonist. Maybe Cedric, you had to.
No, I agree with you. Let's say it will be something depending on the places where we go. It will be between 5 to 10 minutes each episode, and I would say maybe a third of it will be more like 360 video, and then the rest will be inside the invisible world of Voodoo. And maybe to be precise also about the 5 places where we go, we start in Benin, in Africa, where everything started with Voodoo. We go to Haiti, we go to New Orleans in the US, we go to Cuba, and also to Guadeloupe, the French island, because in all these places there are different kind of rituals linked to Voodoo, and it's interesting to discover how it transforms in these different regions. Yeah.
Maybe one last question from my side. Do you have imagine any onboarding installation around the experience, especially for distribution into museums?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Do you imagine any onboarding installation around the experience distributed to museums?
Yeah, we actually we are in discussion already with Diversion Cinéma to distribute the project internationally, and we had this also inside the first part of the project of the to make a kind of installation probably with masks, Voodoo masks, because it's Voodoo has a lot to do with mask and so on, and we think there is a link to build with the scenography of the installation, where you enter into the experience in museums, that we will probably try to use some mask or maybe new mask we will create with the to make the to enter into a real experience even before you put the headset, the VR headset on, that will accompany that. And maybe there is one thing important also that we didn't say maybe during the pitch. You have seen that there was a dancer inside the pitch that we were shooting in volumetric video. And this dancer is called, his name is Zora Snake, and he's originated from Cameroon, and he's doing dance that is linked with Voodoo. So he's making a kind of contemporary reinterpretation of Voodoo culture. And the idea we have to develop the project is that in each episode we will find a kind of contemporary creator, dancer, choreographer, maybe musician. I don't. We have to look for that is from the country, but that will help us to create something really original and really rooted in the Voodoo culture in each of the episodes. So the first one we start with this dancer, but we think we will find other creators to work with us. And these creators should come from the country where we will do the episode, or from the area. I would say that's the idea.
Okay, thank you to both of you.
Thank you.
And and we're gonna move to the next project, and the last one actually. So the next one is titled Kusunda. Is going to be presented by Gayatri Parameswaran and Felix Gapke. We're going to watch the trailer first and start a discussion with them afterwards.
Kusunda is a virtual reality experience that explores what makes a language fall asleep and what it takes to wake one up. Our indigenous Kusunda co-creators take you on a journey to Nepal to witness their challenging path of language reclamation.
खाने बस्ने आफ्नो छप्परभित्र बस्ने आफ्नो दुलामा बस्ने बाघ भालुसँग लड्ने खाने पिने कुरो हुन्छ अब बिसीको भाषा मलाई कस्तो लाग्यो नराम्रो लाग्छ आफ्नो भाषाबाट बोल्न पाएपछि तपाईले एकदम तन्न सुन्ने कुरो हुन्छ
यो कुसुन्डा भाषा रहेन भने चाहिँ किन नेपालमा कुसुन्डा छ भन्ने पनि अस्तित्व रहँदैन यो कुसुन्डा भाषा संस्कृतिलाई चाहिँ एकदम पनि बचाउन सक्छु भन्ने चाहिँ मलाई एकदम पनि आश छ आँट पनि छ है
This is urgent and relevant because Kusunda is not the only language that's falling asleep. This is happening at an alarming rate. Every 2 weeks, a language falls silent. When a language falls silent, we risk losing an entire worldview that's contained within this language, not just its grammar or vocabulary.
Since neither Gayatri nor me are Kusunda, co-creation is really at the heart of this project. We are working very closely with Lil Bahadur and Hema Kusunda, but also the rest of the community to determine what should be told and how it should be told.
The Kusunda people lived a hunter-gatherer lifestyle in the jungles of Nepal until a few decades ago. Our co-creator, 86-year-old Kusunda shaman, Lil Bahadur, spent nearly 40 years in the forests. Lil Bahadur's granddaughter, 15-year-old Hema, is a bit detached from her ancestors' nomadic life and represents what you may call a more modern Kusunda identity. What brings both of them together is the love for their mother tongue. Over the years, as Lil Bahadur left the forest, left his community and moved to a village, he stopped speaking the Kusunda language and adopted other languages that were spoken around him. And in this process, he lost his mother tongue. But in the recent years, Hema has started learning the Kusunda language and is confident that she'll be able to revitalize it.
When it comes to the visual approach of Kusunda, there are two parts to it. On the one hand, we have the photorealistic current, for which we use photogrammetry as well as volumetric video for our interviews. On the other hand, to represent the past, we work with hand-drawn 3D animations that are based on motion capture data. Kusunda doesn't have a script. It was just logic for us to really do justice to its oral tradition by putting voice interaction at the core of this experience. So we invite the user to learn and speak certain words in Kusunda in order to unlock different story worlds. Kusunda is one of many languages on the journey to reclamation in the world. So for us, it made sense to set up the series Speak to Awaken, where the next part, diving into Siraya, which is about the Sirayan community in Taiwan who successfully reclaimed their language. Produced by Poke Poke Creative, this will premiere at the Kaohsiung International Film Festival in October.
And now here we have a proven track record of achieving impact with our immersive work. For instance, one of our previous projects, Home After War, was not only shown at on the festival circuit and won a bunch of awards, but we were able to meet high-level policymakers and decision makers at venues such as the United Nations. This is something we want to repeat with Kusunda.
We will distribute the series in film festivals, museums, policy events, and community events to really have an impact at the local level as well. But of course, given the current situation, we really plan a strong online distribution.
We are currently seeking distribution and impact funds. And one final ask, if you can spare a few minutes and donate your voice to train our neural network for the voice-based interactions for the projects, please go over to speaktoawaken.nowheremedia.net and donate your voice. Thank you so much.
So sorry, but I don't know how to say hello in Kusunda, but maybe I can learn it.
Sojak.
Toja?
Yeah, Sojak.
Thank you. Yeah, first question. So I think if I understand correctly, so this is it's part of a series of different experiences. So how many episodes do you have in mind, and in which different countries?
So at this point, we have 2 episodes. So we have one in Taiwan and one in Nepal, but we are really planning for more episodes. So ideally, maybe something like 5, and to really show how global the phenomenon is.
And in each of the episodes, we are working with creators and co-creators from the communities as well as from the regions to tell their own stories. So it's a kind of a collaborative approach where Speak to Awaken is the series, and there will be multiple creators involved with it.
Okay, so you basically looking for local producers or artists to collaborate on the next episodes?
Yes, that's one of the next steps. And currently, we are actually racing to kind of finish up a prototype for the Kaohsiung Film Festival, where we are showcasing a work-in-progress prototype or a work-in-progress showcase. And Diving into Siraya is having its international and world premiere in Kaohsiung.
Okay, I think we have a question from Jane. Please go ahead.
Hi, Jane. Nice to see you.
Hello, guys. Hi. Yeah, nice to see you guys again. I just recognized from the video. And I really, really love the idea that it actually really resonated with us, because I do come from a province from China that we speak dialects. And we speak Mandarin and generally, but we do speak our own dialects. And people ask, like young people like us, always discuss that there are some slangs or terms that is lost in generations in the dialects, and we're afraid that people are gonna gradually forget about how to speak that while we grow up. And a lot of young kids are taught the certain one language when they grow up, and they start to forget about speaking their own mother tongue. So I do really resonate with the projects, and I think it's a really, really great way that you actually have people to teach people to speak the language during the experience. And I think it's very, very interesting to see that. And I do see a distribution possibility in family or in educational places like this, and especially if you're producing certain languages for that local area, that people wanted to at least show their kids what their mother tongue used to be. So I do see a great potential of that, and especially in terms of the family, kids, location scenarios, and also educational scenarios. So I really, really happy for this project. And I also wanted to ask that, so you already are planning, you already have the 2 episodes planned. So you are looking for the future planned collaborations. So what is your what the locations or what the places or what language that you have in mind that are doing this? And also for the current episode, are you planning to do some demos, and how long are each stories?
Yeah. Thanks a lot for your question, Jane. What's the name of the dialect? Just curious.
Oh, it's called Sichuan dialect. I can type in here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Sichuan dialect, and it's totally different from Mandarin. And we do have a lot of dialects across whole China. Basically, we cannot understand each other. So that's why we're told to speak Mandarin in public place because people from the South, especially the South, the Cantonese is a totally different world. And people from Shanghai, they speak language I couldn't understand a little. And also people from the Northwest, they speak other languages. And Inner Mongolia, they have their own languages. And so there are so many different dialects and languages and mother tongues in the, I mean, Chinese speaking area. Taiwan is also another.
Yeah. It's fascinating how global this phenomenon is. And at the same time, it's kind of local communities, like small micro communities that are affected and who are actually fighting to reclaim their languages. To answer your questions about future episodes, I think the nature of this project has been very organic. The fact that we collaborated with Poki Poki Creative in Taiwan was just through a connection we made actually starting from the last year, partly also due to the New Images Festival, where Huan Huan, who's the director, met Renee, who's our executive producer. And then, so I think we are very, very open, and that's how it should be. We really strongly believe in kind of letting things happen and letting things take shape. And it has worked very well so far in that case, and I think that will be the direction. Obviously, if we have to set an intention, we would like to expand also beyond Asia over to other continents, to other places in the world, to also kind of show the global nature of this phenomenon. And in terms of demo, we have a kind of a prototype that's working that we can share with you. The entire experience, we aim Kusunda to be about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes long. And also diving into Saraya is a similar length. So all episodes of the series should be somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes long. And yeah, I think we are also, as I mentioned, we are showing a work in progress showcase at Kaohsiung. And then we are looking for further distribution opportunities through film festivals in the beginning, but also a strong online distribution strategy.
Sounds good. That's good. Looking forward to the demo that you are about to exhibit.
Yeah. And I think, Jane, we have a one-on-one meeting later today, so I can tell you a little bit more. I can show you, we can also show you a little bit more of what's happening on the project.
Sure. Yes, we do have a meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you in China, Jane, right now? Sorry.
Oh, yep. Right now I'm in. Yeah, we can't travel.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
But I think just to wrap up, but I think there is also great potential in Western countries. I mean, we had even in France a lot of regional languages that disappear or in state of disappearing, and I think it could be also a great idea to make one episode on this such cases.
Yes, I agree. I think it's really something that goes. It's a global phenomenon, and often we see it from a Western perspective as something that happens somewhere else in some remote place of the world, but it's really happening anywhere. And everywhere we have been speaking about this project, there have been people saying like, "Oh, yeah, this is also something that's happening here, and that affects me." And also regarding the dialects, I think in every country there's always a lot of stigma around dialects. Often, like especially young people growing up, when they speak a dialect that is like out of the norm. It's normally seen as something they rather hide or they don't like do openly. So yeah, I think there's a lot of people who resonate with that.
Great. Thank you guys for this great project. I have to thank everyone for being part of this pitching session. And we're going to have the next one in a few hours. So please join us this afternoon for the next pitching session, and take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ellie, for the amazing job, Ellie and team.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ellie.
Bye-bye.